this is like this is gonna be like a segment probably. You can like start make you a point right here because it's a wild ass story. But this story
Go ahead, man.
The whole time. This was from a forensic psychology class I took, and it was about eyewitness testimony and the dangers of it and how like it's really not super accurate. There's two stories. I'll start with the first one. This lady, middle-aged white lady in the middle of the day, I believe she was in like her like mid to late 30s. Guy breaks in her house, rapes her in her own bedroom in the middle of the day, comes through her bedroom window, takes her on the bed. She looks him right in the eyes and everything in the daylight, sees him plain as day. Goes to the cops immediately right after, calls the cops, blah, blah. They get a lineup together. And out of the 6 dudes, like pretty much as soon as she sees them, she's like hysterically crying, points at number 4. It's him. Number 4. I'm 100% sure, it just happened, blah, blah. So they toss the other lineup guys out, lock on number 4, get to the trial. On the lead up to the trial, they check all the evidence. They check the room. They check him, his alibi, everything. They got no evidence on this guy. Nothing that she's saying really adds up. But he doesn't have like a solid like proof he was anywhere else either. So it's kind of just up in the air. But this lady cried in court, told the jury this story about how she looked him right in his eyes. It was the middle of the day, blah blah blah, and she made sure to remember the details of his face so she could get justice if nothing else, because she knew in the moment she was helpless, but in the post event she'd be able to get retribution. All this shit gets him locked up. They find him guilty. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He does like, I can't remember how many years. At least it was 10, 15 years, something like that.
Damn.
Gets out later due to DNA evidence. Another guy is bragging about, in the same jail, is bragging about, yeah, he's doing my sentence too. I got a life sentence and he's doing mine. I raped this girl, and they, me and him look alike, like brothers, so they thought I was her. So he starts like telling his lawyer this, and they this is like early 70s or something like that. And whenever DNA testing came around was like 10, 15 years into his sentence. And so they ended up getting that guy subpoenaed for a test for talking all that stuff. Come to find out it was him, matched the samples they still had from the case from back in the day. And then he gets out. And the craziest part about the whole story to me is that guy and that woman that falsely accused him go on to write a book together and then go on tours together and talk about eyewitness testimony and talk about their story and try to make the justice system better by sharing what happened to them.
Wow. And where did you hear this? Where was this?
This was in that forensic psychology class.
Oh, wow.
Like, such a weird story, but like that's like one example. But the main story, the craziest one, like this was in Texas. I don't remember the town, but I'm sure you could find it with enough Googling. But this guy's a police officer and a deacon in this town, right? I assume it's like the town we're from, like an Elkview type of town, like small town. This guy knows everybody. He's a cop. He's a deacon. He's a whatever. And he's got 2 daughters. One's like in her early 20s. Her name's Julie, and then the younger one, I can't remember, like 17 or something. But his daughter goes to see this like gypsy fortune teller type of person, and she's like learning about her future, and she's like learning about horoscope type stuff, all that stuff. Well, when she's getting her readings done, this fortune teller girl tells her, hey, what was it like, or what age were you when you were molested by your dad? She was like, I was never molested by my dad. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like, no, you definitely have sexual abuse and trauma in your past, by your father. Like, it's clear as day in these readings, blah, blah. And she's like, you're crazy. Like, my dad's like a good guy, that never happened. But then she has her go through these exercises every time they visit each other. And she calls it like a mental exercise where she says, imagine what it would have been like if you did get molested or raped by your dad. And just like imagine every detail of it and see if it sparks any memory, because you have repressed memories, because this definitely happened to you. And she does this long enough to where this Julie girl all of a sudden like magically remembers, oh shit, like not only did my dad molest me, but he molested me and my little sister, and they had these satanic rituals at my house, and we used to sacrifice babies, and like, oh my gosh, like I've unlocked all these memories, right? Goes to her sister with all this shit, convinces her sister that it's real. So her sister's on board, and then her and her sister turn her dad in. So like his cops are like, what the hell? Like, so they lock him up. He's not allowed to talk to his family. He's only allowed to talk to his lawyer and the like church preacher and the like main sheriff of the town or whatever. That's like his boss or whatever. And so the forensic evidence guy goes and starts checking for all this stuff because the girls checked for markings for, you know, past abuse and all this stuff, checks for like missing babies in the area during these time frames because allegedly there was baby sacrifices at these things, and they gave specific dates. They said Thanksgiving and all this shit. They gave dates. And like, so in the time that this guy is in solitary confinement, the preacher's telling him, you did this. Like, you got possessed by the devil, you got possessed by a demon or something, you did this stuff. You need to confess to being guilty and, you know, accept it. And the forensic detective guy who's doing all the tests on the girl and the house, they're digging up the yard looking for baby skeletons that are allegedly buried back there according to these girls and all that. Forensic guy comes back and says, this shit is a joke. There's no evidence of any of this. And not only that, he has strong alibis. He wasn't even in town on some of these dates that these girls are saying. He was at business trips. We got flight records and everything else. Like, the shit is made up. But in the time that it had taken him to come to this conclusion, that guy had got so crazy in jail, being in with this preacher and being in solitary and all this stuff, that he pled guilty. He said that he did it. So, like, he ends up going to prison for all this stuff, and then like years later trying to like recant his guilty testimony and, and, you know, undo all that. But it was just an absolute mess. And it's just the power of the mind and the power of like we're talking about, the core of this conversation, what led me here, being so convinced of something that's not true at all. But the power of being convinced, you know, collective ignorance is a thing, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh